Hi guys, how are you doing? This is the third instalment in my videos for the restoration of the AMV8. It's not actually the third one I've made, it's quite well down the line, but the reason I'm making this one is to just tell you a few things about my thought processes and what's kind of happened as I've got on with different jobs in the car. Things have slowed down a bit recently because, as I said at the start of this, I was trying to find a job and work. Kind of necessary, despite having the luxury of working on an Aston. I do need a day job as well, so I've been a bit busy with other things. But anyway, in terms of progress with the car, I've done quite a lot since I last talked, and got on with various jobs. The majority of the car's reasonably well stripped out. From a paint perspective, most of the bodywork is bare. There's just some final rubbing to do at the front and along its backside. Managed to get out on the motorbike because the sun suddenly came out and it wasn't freezing cold, so a couple of real nice rides out. That's been fantastic. It'd be amazing to do it in this car later on, but it is fantastic. But really what I've done is come up against some obstacles whilst I've been working. So when I've been presenting and saying, okay, I've got a plan to do such and such a thing, like get the heating element out from in front of the dashboard in the engine bay on the front bulkhead, what I've said at the start and what my assumptions have been at the start haven't worked out. So effectively I've been lying to you. And what I don't want for people to do is watch one or two videos in that sense and think, oh, he was right from the start, and take the same approach necessarily. What you need to, where you need to be is, and I'll quite happily confess my mistakes, but is understand the mistakes I've made, and that will then make it easier for you in the long run. I haven't made any catastrophic mistakes, it's just the way things work and the sequencing of things and what kind of happens along the way. And obviously if I went back and did it a second time, it'd be really easy. And what I'd like to think is that if any of you guys watching this and use it as a bit of advice, please take the easy path. Learn from my mistakes. I'd like to help you with that. And I'll try and present them as well as I can so that you have a good idea and a good picture of what I've done wrong along the way and how I've put it right, or the conclusion I've come to at the end of the job. So I just wanted to say that as I put more vids up and allow you to kind of see where I've got to. So that said, there's a couple of people have asked, well, why I got an Aston in the first place, and the reason behind that was, well, they're just bloody cool, aren't they? I mean, nobody's questioning that. James Bond had one. I'm not James Bond. I'm a damn sight shorter than Daniel Craig anyway. But really, what many of us aspire to have is having a nice car, and having an Aston was always really the kind of top of the list. Didn't appreciate what it actually meant. It's kind of one of them untouchable, unreachable things as well, until a colleague of mine got one, and I suddenly thought, wow, this is a real thing. But even then I was looking for a nice car to drive. The Vauxhall Zephyrus, the family wagon, was not a nice car to drive, and I was back home for only short durations of time at anyone, and really couldn't go sailing and do a lot of the other things I used to like to do, just from a time perspective, being away for so long. So I went to look at Porsche and drove into the Porsche garage forecourt in the Zafira, 3 kids in the back, young kids, and truth is, they didn't care about me. They weren't interested. They thought I was taking the piss, and didn't want to spend much time with me. I'd left my card, I'd left my contact details. I said I was interested in a couple of things. They never got back to me. Never had a call since. And then happened to be in Chichester, and drove by the Aston garage by accident completely, but stopped dead in the road, did a U-turn, and said, you know what, let's just go and do this, let's have a look. And to be honest, the guys in the Chichester Aston garage couldn't have been more friendly and helpful. Guys, if you want to do me a free service out of this, please by all means feel free. But they were just really top notch, very helpful, took great care of the kids, got them drinks, probably to get them out of the way of the car. You know, when you put them in front of a TV, they're not putting sticky hands on the latest Rapide or Vanquish. But they gave me and my wife an awful lot of time. Jump in, test whatever you want. When do you want to test drive? Both of you come down with your license, we'll help you out. Absolutely fantastic. It was a little while before I went back for a test drive, and that had me hooked. And then the mission was buying a car. The reality is you can't always get what you want with Astons. I did want Advantage because a DB9's tiny bit too long for this garage, I think. And I didn't find exactly the one I wanted from them. I've got to be honest, the service I got from there was so bloody good. I actually felt guilty when I bought the car somewhere else. But I've been back there for servicing a couple of times, and I would recommend them. So what did that do to me in Porsche? Well, I've no intention of getting one now. I think I'm hooked on these. But the last time I went into a Porsche garage was actually to get a keyring for my mate. The difference being, I drove in full speed in the Vantage, gave it the berries, stopped outside the front door, and the difference between them scrabbling to meet me as I kind of came in was, as opposed to going in with the family, the wife and kids, was quite marked. As I say, I bought a keyring for a mate because he wanted a GT3 for quite some time, but was getting married. So the closest he's ever been to a Porsche was that keyring I got him from the garage. I told him why I was getting that keyring at the time as well, so it made me feel good.